Hello, everyone. Welcome back to ESA Cup Season 9. I'm Pasta, joined by Pooble. We're going to be taking you through this game. SilentFamily taking on MG Aspire. Joe, it's the last game of this round 3 mid-bracket. And I don't know, I'm kind of excited for this one.
Yeah, we're in a similar position to our last cast where we're not quite on the edge of either end of the Swiss stage yet, right?
Yeah.
No one's going to qualify if they win this, and no one's going to be in those elimination spots either. So there's still a little bit of leeway for either one of these teams, but yeah, we do want to be seeing wins on the board for them here because
Yeah.
if you get to those elimination spots, sure, you're playing best of threes throughout, so you don't have that disadvantage, but you'd like to have just a bit more of a safety net beneath you.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously heading into round 4, that's when you start to get really to the tail end. If you lose here, then you're in elimination games the rest of the way. If you win here, then you're in promotion games the rest of the way. Yes, 2-2 is technically both, but my point still stands. That next round is honestly so pivotal when you get to that either 2-1 or 1-2 position, because just one different result and your position is so different. The amount of pressure on you is so different as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you get to that qualification position on a better record, you're going to get a better seed going into that the next stage of the tournament. So
Yeah.
there's still a lot to play for, even if, again, as we said, this isn't kind of crunch time for these teams as of yet. We're still only on the 1-1 scoreline. So let's just see what maps going to be playing then. Let's try and get into this series, see which of
Yeah.
these two teams could maybe be favored early on here as we see these map bands come in. It's going to be Consulate, Cafe, and Sky, which to me, flashing immediately, 3 quite defender favored maps.
Yeah, and 3 fairly large maps as well. Interestingly, though, you've said defender sided. MG Aspire have chosen to start on the attack on Cafe Dostoevsky. Now that does worry me slightly. I feel like maybe of the 3, that is perhaps the most attacker sided of them. But even still, I mean, why aren't we choosing to start on defense here, lads? Like what?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Uh,
it's a big map. That's one thing, right? It's a lot to
yeah,
clear. Also, some of those sites are just really quite easy to defend. They kind of funnel the attack through. Looking particularly at that top floor, as long as you don't just let attackers continually repel into one window, it's
yeah,
pretty damn strong. So it's a ballsy move to start on the attack, but at the same time, if you aren't necessarily planning on starting particularly hot, you can only need to win sort of 2 rounds on that attacking half to then head into your defenses, and you're actually at a pretty stable position. Then you're at maybe a more fighting form on your better side, so that could kind of play into it. But usually, you'd always like to start on defense, particularly starting the series when both sides are maybe going to be a little bit colder, not quite warmed up as of yet. So it's a big risk, a big gamble, and I don't know if it's going to pay off.
yeah. But let's sort of look a little bit at our first map then, Consulate. Because again, this is a very defender sided map. Um, for this, I don't know. I'm kind of worried because it feels like there's a lot of places where attacking can go wrong. And what one thing that we often see with these ESA Cup teams is a lack of coordination, a lack of real good team play. And I feel like on Consulate, that's really going to be the difference maker.
Yeah, a lot of those standard pushes require you to have a lot of teamwork and a lot of faith in your team as well. Particularly, hate it, everyone goes for it. The repelling into that second floor site, you need to put a
Yeah.
lot of faith in your team there. And if you don't have that, it could lead to you not sticking the plant, going for a kill when you don't need to. So, I absolutely agree with you. We could see these teams almost cause their own demise in some of these rounds by just not playing properly. So that is another thing to really consider, particularly when you're looking at the team attacking on choosing to attack to start as well, right? That's the side that does also need a lot of coordination on every map, but particularly on a larger map. So we might be seeing Aspire almost shoot themselves in the foot here.
Yeah, we absolutely might. We've got some player stats for you as well. Now, I've been told that 2 of these players that we have for SilentFamily um, are not actually playing today, but we don't have stats on those. So Hugo and Mercs haven't played in the tournament before, so we don't have stats for them. Cloxy and Michael Myers are not playing tonight, but everyone else should be in the lobby. This is the statistics we have for them. And part of what I'm looking at is the real standout player on SilentFamily, Glock, like the highest rating there by quite some margin.
An incredible entry record as well. Looking at that 15-5 can definitely be useful on this map selection we've got for us today, because the thing that is really rewarded is opening kills in these larger maps. Being able to play around a 5v4 situation can really make things a lot easier, particularly looking at the attacks, but also the defenses. And another thing we've got to consider, Aspire, they went for that gamble starting on the attack, and they've also been rewarded with a bit of a penalty point here. SilentFamily were not ready at times, so that's why there's an 0-1 scoreline. So already, a bit of that legwork in this first half has been done for Aspire. That's a thing you've really got to take into account here. SilentFamily, by absolutely no means out of the half as of yet, but already conceding one round there. That's quite a big reward to Aspire for basically just doing the bare minimum.
Yeah, showing up on time. So, again, this is a good start for MG Aspire. They're on their own map pick, and they already have an attacking round. Now that should be pretty good for them. But, you know, it's still, sometimes these advantages don't necessarily mean the most, especially as SilentFamily. They are on the defense. They are going to have the opportunity to really hammer things down. They could still get a 5-1 half at the end of it. That's the thing to consider, and currently it looks like they're planning on going aggressive. You got the Amaru, you got the Blitz, you got the Ying. All of those say to me that we might be seeing some sort of push up onto this window. Maybe the Blitz comes up the yellow stairs, or perhaps even Visa for a bit of a backstab. But the Amaru here really says to me this window is going to be the focus. You can already see the Candela's being prepped. Window opened up already. Player on the rappel just for those EMPs. The first one goes through. Starting to get this diffused down. The EMPs trying to deny, but they've just let someone cross. There's no coverage for the player planting. The shotgun kill opens things up immediately. There's some response from the Blitz, making things a 4 versus 4, but the attacking team falling around that player. Not going great so far, and again, it's that teamwork coming to be the problem. Teemo, a nice double on the round, taking down the Blitz. The real problem there for these players has been taken out, but Scopes is at least good for one. The swing onto the second, shotgun just too strong for it. Ben's the second in the round. Casper still on these windows on rappel. Oh. They're giving themselves away. What is going on here? It's now a 1 versus 1, and Sanji's low on HP. They don't know that Casper's actually inside a spiral this entire time. We'll just get onto the drones, try and spot these players.
Yeah, I mean, Casper has got a really quite easy job ahead of him now, as you're pointing out. Sanji on such low HP, a 3 armor as well, so you can't exactly rotate as quickly as they'd like to. 1 EMP in pocket as well, so if they're dealing with those Melusi Banshees, they can actually disable them temporarily. These are all factors that are really putting Casper in the advantage here. Already 2 kills in the round, but he goes for the jump in instead, dies. A very baffling round, let's be real. I can't put all this tension on Casper. There's a castle barricade in the way. Either way, he has to make noise, but SilentFamily looked to have it on lock, and then they just kept swinging. They just kept offering themselves up, so fair play to Aspire for almost clutching that out, but equally, Aspire, what are we doing here? That was a really sloppy execute overall, right? We saw them have no real attempts to clear below, to clear out a player in the corner. I don't know if the smoke crossed or was just playing there from the start. These are all standard things for this attack. The MG Aspire, I guess maybe emblazoned by that free round they got at the start, they just went for it instantly without doing the bare minimum of this push.
Yeah, and then you've got to consider as well, it's a 1 versus 3, and people just swing a window 1v1. Like, Casper didn't even need to move. He just looked in the exact same place and got 2 kills, and 3 players just walking into the sightline. So already, you can see, again, focus is on that teamwork.
10 seconds left.
Yeah, absolutely. Heading to this basement now, another site that's going to require a lot of teamwork from MG Aspire, because they've got to clear basically the top 2 floors to be safe, to be sure, particularly looking at this lineup with the Solace, with the Vigil, maybe the Valk as well. And then they've got to convert that to an actual push downstairs. So that's going to really test their teamwork ability, their speed, applying pressure as well. We're seeing Shimizu getting already, I was going to say aggressive. I think he's just going to be holding a bit of a cutoff there. But crucially, that wall is soft. They've got pretty easy access down to the basement. This could be a straight horizontal take.
It very much could be. Already, space being gained as well, looking through electrical and into servers. The Montaigne is able to just make their way through, and the Sol is taken down immediately there by Shimizu. A fantastic start to the round already here from the side of MG Aspire. Yes, there's been some damage dealt to the IQ, but they can still survive and spot out those gadgets, and importantly, still shoots away at players as well. The hard breach charge to come on through. Players now watching round the castle barricades being an effective barrier again, at least holding up these players for a short amount of time. But they shouldn't be quite the death nail that they were in round 2.
Yeah, no really over-eager execute as of yet in this round. We're seeing Aspire play much smarter here. They've got their breaches down. They're just kind of waiting for something to happen. Damage has been done to Glock, a little bit onto Scouts as well. So overall, both teams even in hell for the remaining players, but the opening pick is really so crucial. This 4v5 means they're no longer at that gun disadvantage as Zello is on that Monty still. The attack don't quite want to push in yet. They want to get more out of these peaks. They identified that the previous round, the defense were giving them free opportunities, and again, that's happened. A 5v3 now, with just over a minute remaining. This is very, very doable. Timo at least gets a trade onto one. Still a 3v4.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and there's another response. Now evened out again to a 2 versus 3, but Timo answering back, finally shut down. Shimizu is also low. This round is winnable for Benz, and I just don't know how close they realize they are to these gunfights and the engagements. In fact, it's Casper, the one with the firing line, against MG Aspire, their second round on the board.
I really like that from Aspire. I really liked the main lesson they learned from that first round of play. In that SilentFamily love to swing. They love to take gunfights. And Aspire, they didn't have the most ground. They had enough, sure, but they didn't try and push into that site because they knew SilentFamily love to go for these engagements. They love to try and even things out. And sure, Timo gets 2, but ultimately the damage is done with the rest of his teammates falling. So a really nice, personalized play from Aspire there to take down SilentFamily. It's going to be a reattempt on this basement, and things would go a lot differently if they don't concede such an early pick. So I believe just to cut off through a window. So I like them going back to the basement, and I like that there's a clear switch up here, more utility focus, no more of that Solace. Still got the Vigil to waste a bit of time. But it seems like they are going to try and force Aspire to actually clear out the roam, because that's another great thing Aspire did. They just basically ignored it. They realized they'd been given almost free access to server, and they just took it with that Monty shield in front of them. It allowed them to just peek around corners, get concrete intel. No Monty this time, though, so this is going to be a roam clear, or just a very fast push.
Yeah, indeed. And they've brought along the Nomad again, so still conscientious of watching their flanks, and it looks like they are going for a bit more of that full map clear. Casper looking like they want to get themselves in up on the top floor. Shimizu as well, already early in towards Expo. So there's good progress being made, and the flankers again do need to be careful, but nothing on that top floor. It's all just over on this Visa side. Tellers and also the spiral stairs as well for Glock, who we said had good entry stats and had the highest rating overall. Currently killless thus far. Obviously, we've only seen 2 rounds be played, so there is an opportunity for that to change. But, well, the entry stats just get worse. Shimizu opens things up, and Glock falls. It's now a 4 versus 5. Aspire yet again find themselves on the front foot.
Yeah, Timo's close to an objective, or close to an opening rather, but just misses. Casper also gives away their position, so it looks like the defense are going to flee from that engagement. Timo really can't afford to give up his life here as well. No other response coming in from the rest of those attackers, instead just focusing on getting vertical set up. So Timo he could definitely be in a position to get more impact in this round, but that impact nade is probably going to signify he wants to leave. Just too big of a noise cue, but no, actually, still lingering around this first floor. They know he's there somewhere. They don't quite know where actually specifically. So he's still in a pretty safe spot, going for this crouch walk. No player spotted as of yet, but he's bound to find himself in some kind of engagement.
Oh!
Down Shimizu gets the 180. Fantastic from Timo here. Gets a third, in fact. Has full control of this first floor. And SilentFamily are back in this round.
Team Aspire, they just do not know what hit them. Casper at least gets one back, but it's still a 2 versus 3. They're still in the disadvantage, and Timo still persisting upstairs and might be able to find a fourth as well. The player's just not quite aware of it. Zello was not watching in the correct place at all, and Timo has in fact found the fourth. Carol, though, with one on the site, is looking to try and make it more, but the ace is available for Timo. Can't quite land it. Now a 1 versus 1 that Sanji wins out. SilentFamily had no business winning that round, but thanks to a bailout, Timo was there.
Just wasn't a full commitment to clearing out that Roma, right? There was noise cues from both sides there. They should have known Timo was still on the loose. There should have been some kind of cutoff on Spiral instead. Either the information wasn't relayed or it wasn't acted upon, and Aspire paid dearly there. As he said, no chance they should be winning that round at all. Aspire have looked so good, but SilentFamily, one lone player stands up, and that's all that needs to happen there. Still, got to be asking questions of these other players, specifically Glock, as you pointed out. He is their top fragger. He is that 15-5 entry warlord. 0-3 so far. He needs to step up because you can't be putting this pressure on one player who, don't forget, very nearly bailed them out of that other round that Aspire won too. So SilentFamily just relying a lot on the individuals so far. As for Aspire, it was good teamwork in that other round. The previous round we just saw, though, is definitely lacking. We need to be seeing more of a coherent effort to deal with Romas. Luckily, it looks to be a full top 4 hold here, so that shouldn't be as difficult as a basic defense. We just need to see them actually do it, because last time they attacked up here, it was a very, very one-dimensional push.
Yeah, it looks like the approach should be completely different, though. The operator lineup, sorry, is very much the opposite here. And instead of the Amaru Ying blitz, we've got operators that are a bit more measured. Yeah, sure, we had the Flores before, but we've got the Nomad coming on through, we got the IQ, we got the Ace as well for those hard breaches. This is a lot more well-rounded. This is a lot more standard Siege, and that's kind of what I want to see from Aspire here. And Glock is certainly still confident. You can't say that the confidence has been knocked by the performance so far. That's what we like to see, but has been forced to concede this area of the map. Admin has been given over to the attack of MG Aspire, and they can actually start pushing themselves through office and break room as well. The nade as well is going to force these players out from the angles, out from the positions. Timo in perhaps a little bit of trouble. Glock as well, a little bit isolated.
Yeah, still no kills as of yet for the attacking side, so it's a bit of an improvement from SilentFamily compared to that previous round. They're keeping the attackers at bay, despite this breach being dangerously close to the site. Carol, I was going to say, was given nothing, was given a prime opportunity there, but couldn't act upon it. Benz is still alive, still smoking off that single doorway too. This whole knock-on effect from one missed shot we're witnessing right here. Still, they are peeking Carol. They want to get this player dealt with. And it's very risky. That AK-12 is such a dangerous weapon. As Casper's already found this opening, a 4v5 with Timo. Low on health as well. Shimizu goes for the flank, gets one, can't quite get the second, but his teammate's there. A 1v5 now for Senji, all alone. This has been total collapse for the defense. He at least finds one, but that's all he's getting. A masterful response from MG Aspire there.
Oh, that was really, really good. The one thing I liked about that is how it was fairly together, whether they planned it or not. It was very, very nice. As the players were coming in the single door, swinging from that area and on the breach as well, then you had the players coming in from long desk, swinging around, getting the collapse, and then that enabled the other player, I can't quite remember names, unfortunately, but that enabled
Attackers need
other
to
players
locate
to
and
even
defuse
come
bombs.
through the hallway and just straight into where Timo is positioned now. They were able to just go into that doorway. Everything was so nice, and every player was coming from a different angle. It meant that the defense, they didn't know where to look. They were constantly getting caught out, and it led to that collapse that we saw.
Yeah, and the crucial thing here is we've guaranteed a tie half. SilentFamily, because they lost that first round due to rulebook stuff, it means that Aspire are on 3 rounds. That's already a pretty decent, I would say even a good half for an attacking side on Consulate. And now everything after this is a bit of a bonus. As for SilentFamily, if they drop this one round, they might have to start thinking about Cafe, right? 4-2, heading onto the defensive side for Aspire could be incredibly difficult to overcome, especially with how teamwork-oriented Aspire have been. So this could be a very crucial round result based on how it goes. Aspire have just looked so good, Casper particularly, leading this team to hopefully a victory on Consulate.
Indeed. Looking at scoreboards for these teams as well, we've already pointed out the heavy reliance from SilentFamily on Timo. 8 kills, which is more than the rest of the team combined at this point. But even still on Aspire, I was about to say you have Zello still on 0 kills, but not anymore. They found the opener on this round, taking out Mercs, who is definitely still on 0 kills. That's a nice angle to find. Glock finally gets off that donut, but again, not much after that. A nice response there from Scaps, and now they can start to really work this pitch, taking away those Goyo canisters, making sure that this utility cannot be used by the defense, and getting this time burn out early so it doesn't affect them in the late round.
Yeah, 1 kill for both those players in this half is bad enough, but losing Mercs and the Echo as well, that's basically an entire win condition. You've conceded, Shotgun doesn't find its mark, Carol's still alive, Timo gets pushed back by that air jab and sight control, being contested now by the attack bends. Trapped in that little cubby hole, allowing the attack to get more and more ground in, but that's just leaving. They aren't quite sure they want to push this yet, and Zello almost gets a flip, gets it in fight. 1v2 now, and Senji again alone in the 1vx, again on low health, and try and pick apart this team individually, but nope. Zello gets that pick, and a fantastic half from Aspire there. Despite some shaky rounds, despite some concerns from us, they've picked themselves up and had 2 really strong attacks to finish off that half and head onto this defensive side.
Yeah, it's been really good. That kill there again on the replay. It's just such a nice angle to find there from Scaps. Obviously, quite a bit easier when you're on the attack. You have that ACOG scope, but you know, it is what it is. A good round from MG Aspire, and like you mentioned, Poobal, a very good half. They find themselves at 4-2. And even if you look at the rounds they actually played, they still won over 50% of them. 3 of the 5 rounds that we saw played, 1 on the attack by MG Aspire. Now they find themselves on the defense. Now they find themselves in a very advantageous position.
One thing I'll say for SilentFamily is on their defenses, they've shown they're very willing to take gunfights. And that can be a bit of a blessing or a curse on the defense, but if they can kind of turn that into some measured aggression on the attack, that could really help them on a big map like Consulate. So that's something maybe they could take away from that, but still, the big thing we've got to keep pointing out, who are those players when they combined 1 kills? Yeah. It's not a performance that's going to help you get over the line here, and we need to see an improvement overall, because again, those 2 rounds were heavily individual based from SilentFamily, so needs to be improvements there. They're going for a straight horizontal take. It's not going to be that fast push through the console office window, so I'm already a big fan of this approach from the attack. Hard breach goes off as well. SilentFamily looking coordinated so far to start off this half.
Indeed. I want to point out Zello there as well. 3 kills in the previous round. Definitely stepped up when the team needed them. Basically, right as I was about to criticize that player as well. Now they find themselves on the Maluti, so that should also help them get into that sort of fragging mode. Castello is in trouble, down to just 5 points of health, now shut down by Glock. using the pistol there. Quite apt in the naming. It's the opening pick, but it doesn't last long, the advantage. Shimizu finds a trade with a C4. We find ourselves even in the man count, Joe.
Yeah, Shimisu's still getting aggressive, though,
What?
around admin. Doesn't quite get taken out there. That's the whole point of that cross angle. And the response is sorely lacking. At least we are seeing a bit of life in some of these players. Glock gets his second. That's 2 in 2 rounds. Pretty decent average in that small sample size. And he's been taken out again. Another player crossing into admin, this time taken out. But Shimisu's still at large. He's still kind of preventing this entire push just by being here. Flashbang goes out and he manages to leave.
How?
Gets another, a 2v3. Shimizu, don't tempt fate again. Just get back to sight, man. There's no way they're going to allow him to get back for a third time. He's just playing close in this corner. Are they going to suspend
Oh,
it?
they don't know. They don't know.
I don't know. It's disaster. Absolute cataclysmic events for SilentFamily. Shimizu, so cocky, sprinting at this last player. Benz at least gets him. 1v2 though, for the Twitch. F2 is a very good gun, especially on console. The recoil nowhere near as potent as on other platforms, so it's doable. He's got into sight as well, but there's a C4 waiting for him. SilentFamily, that started so well. There was such good positioning, such good aggression, and they can't deal with a single Valkyrie. Every tool available to them, and they cannot dislodge this player.
That is like truly cataclysmic. I have no idea how Shimizu was able to do all of that. Got 3 kills as well that round. 3 kills.
He shouldn't have got a foot into admin.
No, absolutely not. The third one as well, just the rub salt in the wound, hiding in that corner as well. It just, that possibly is the tilter, I feel like, for SilentFamily, because Shimizu has just run absolute rings around them, and they could do nothing about it.
It's disastrous. That could be a bit of a moral break around as well there, because again, SilentFamily, they wanted to get a good foot forward in this half, and yet, despite their really nice setup, despite them not falling for the trap of everyone just repelling into console window, they still just couldn't dislodge a single player, and those individual players that have really got them their only success in this map have then been turned against them as Shimizu just comes to life, taking down 3 of them, as you said, in a position he had no right to be in. The Jackal being brought this time as well as that striker, so it seems like they want a lot of this kind of offensive utility to potentially push players out of power positions. That's the thing that really caught them off guard last time. Certainly an intriguing approach. There's no real wide roam presence from this defensive side of Aspire as well, so this Jackal could almost be seen as a bit of a waste. Granted, not seeing those footprints is at least going to speed up the roam clear process for Teemo up here. Once the information is relayed that there is no one above, they shouldn't be wasting too much time, and they get a free kill as well. Ben's an absolute freebie onto Zeller. I'm not sure what the Tuberel was looking at there, completely exposed. It's a good start for SilentFamily.
It absolutely is. It sounded like at least some form of breach went off there as well, so there's even more positive work going in that direction. E4 kill, though, does even things back into a 4 versus 4, and Carol's now been caught with this Jackal track. He's going to be providing information on the players down on the site, and we've already seen the SilentFamily, they can certainly work that vertical. They absolutely can work that vert. But now we settle into a bit of a rhythm as the round sort of simmers currently. Shimizu almost finding the catch on that angle, but I don't know if the angle's quite good enough here. Maybe it is. The players are in though. The attackers are in the site. Senji's planting. Yeah, sure, there's a kill onto Teemo. But Sanji's planting, and there's 2 kills in response from SilentFamily. Make it another as Mercs from above is just raining death and destruction. Scaps goes down, and it's all on to Casper. The round that we thought might have been the tilter, might have been the mental break for SilentFamily. Instead, it's galvanized them. It's kicked them up the arses, and now they have a 3rd round.
Yeah, seen the double-edged nature of that all 5 below site hold, right? Sure, you aren't risking your life fighting these roam clearers, but at the same time, you can't really do anything once they get that vertical presence, aside from indirect methods of stopping the plant, like the Nitro. The problem is they used that Nitro way too early in that round. They did get a player with it, sure, but they really had no proper way of challenging the plant. If they could just take down the planter, suddenly they're in such a better spot because those remaining 2 attackers were on the first floor. They would have had to rotate out of position. You then be losing some of that vertical coverage as well. Because there was no other methods of taking out the defuse player, aside from just swinging and getting a hopeful pick, there's nothing they could do. They will die 9 out of 10 times that vertical. So really nice identification by SilentFamily to see the weakness in that hold, and it's clearly rattled Aspire. They don't want to go in that basement anymore. Instead, on that first floor where they have more options to deny the plant and go above and below. For SilentFamily, I want to see the ball to keep on rolling here, right? We finally got all those players on the board, so that's something for this team. But they're still 2 rounds below. They're still on this attacking side as well. As for Aspire, just don't let it tell you. You've got those 5, 1 away from locking in OT, which doesn't really mean anything in a Swiss stage, but it makes you ever so closer to winning this map.
Yeah, especially if they start on defense and OT, which you would think would be an advantage, but you know, provided we get to OT, that would be 2 4-2 halves for the attack. So maybe not. As things stand though on the tertiary site here for Aspire, and they've already started well, which is positive for them. It's just a question of whether they can keep this advantage, whether they can hold on, because everyone's down on this first floor apart from Casper. That's a nice C4. The timing perfect, and the catch coming through. Shimizu C4s another player. It's a 5 versus 3.
Yeah, Glock almost gets 1, but has to push through this Banshee if he wants to get another pick. Meanwhile, Zello gets a second. Aspire running away with this round thanks to a couple of nice individual plays. Glock, though, he gets 1. This player is slowly heating up. It's nice to see. Position's still known, and there's not much he can actually get here, though. Still has to cross through these doorways or rotate around, so his offense has already been kind of stumped there. Senji looking to get another line of sight for his team. Nitro comes out. He sees it. He ignores it. He pays the price. It's all on Glock in a 1v4. We've said he's slowly getting better, but just not good enough. Zello getting another player who's heated up throughout this map. And he's put Aspire onto map overtime, I guess, locked in. Not map point. No, yes, map point. What am I saying? Map point. 6 rounds. Sorry. That whole round kind of hurt my head. I literally blinked and missed the opening pick. That's how fast
I also missed the opening pick.
So I was confused when you said they had already got a good start. So I was like, the round has just started, and SilentFamily already missing a player. Either way, map point. I will confidently say that now.
There you go.
6 rounds for Aspire.
We're
SilentFamily
professionals
here. Do you still kind of actively try to win this map, or do you start thinking about Cafe? Right? Obviously, you know, never give up, hooray! But would it be a more meaningful usage of your time to just try and identify some of the issues that have plagued you in Consulate and just discuss how that's going to affect you going forward? Or do you just keep trying to win this map? Because I can see arguments of both ways, but with the way Aspire have been playing so far in map 1, I think it might just be best for SilentFamily to cut their losses and focus on how they can avoid a similarly disastrous start on Cafe.
Yeah, thankfully, Cafe Dostoevsky, it is SilentFamily's map pick. So they're going into it with a bit more preparation. You'd imagine they'd be slightly better on it. And they've been given the ultimate lifeline of Aspire choosing to start on the attack. So they're able to defend first on Cafe Dostoevsky. You could not ask for a better position after a map loss that is possibly as booming as the one that we have coming up in front of us. You cannot ask for a better situation than to be given defense on your own map pick to just give yourselves that boost, the start that you need. But obviously we need to get there first. There's still opportunity for SilentFamily to come back here on Consulate. We already saw Aspire. They got themselves a 4-2 attack in half. Opportunity for the same thing to happen here for SilentFamily. They're already pressuring up these Visa stairs as well. Timo here looking onto the site window, but unfortunately no one is coming to try and find him. In fact, Zello is the player that's in the most danger. Now Timo coming up, tries to get that collection, but is assisted by the teammate. Carol has the oversight of 4 versus 4 now, and Zello still on low HP, still stranded. Casper, though, finding a pick. It's a 3 versus 4.
Yeah, Casper, though, also kind of isolated, also alone, taken down by Mercs. 3v3, Zello even still so close to the action despite being on 9 health. He's got a bit more of an off angle now. He just plays quietly here and bides his time. He catch these guys off guard. Doesn't matter if you're on 9 health. If you're shooting someone in the back, you're gonna win that gunfight. As Carol swings, gets another. Aspire, they're playing aggressive, they're playing risky, but it's working. 2v3. 1-man advantage here, but it could all go horribly wrong given how low Zello is. He needs to be so patient. Just pick the right moment, because if he does, he wins them this map.
He's so hidden as well on that downstairs, dipping away, possibly trying to rejoin his teammates on the spiral stairs. That could work out so well. They're not going to expect someone in that position to barricade in the way. Uses that impact, tries to get the connection. It's in fact Carol with 3, and Glock is only good for 1. The map goes the way of MG Aspire, a dominant 7-3 victory. And a 7-3 victory where they only won 6 of the rounds. But despite how this map started, this was so good from Aspire.
Yeah. I think Aspire were definitely the much stronger team here, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was 7-3. There were still 3 rounds won by SilentFamily, but a lot of that was really just one player stepping up. As for Aspire, you could see they're swinging off each other. They're playing off each other's intel most of the time. There were a couple exceptions, but they were definitely the better team. I guess, luckily for SilentFamily, some of those players who did have a particularly bad start were finding a lot more impact in the second half. So if they're actually starting Cafe, both on an even scoreline, right, and with all 5 players heated up in the lobby, there could definitely be a different tale, given the fact that they've also got that second defensive start. But MG Aspire didn't look too deterred by starting on the attack here, and if they've chosen to start the attack on Cafe, they must be confident. They must be ready to really make an impact on that map. So we could be seeing a pretty quick series here if MG Aspire are able to run away with that first attacking half yet again.
But yeah, we absolutely might. All of that in the future, though. The present, we're going to go to a very quick break. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone. We're still here. We're still ready for this game. MG Aspire took a pretty dominant win on the first map, Poobal. I think it's fair to say. But now we head into SilentFamily's map pick, Cafe Dostoyevsky.
Yeah, another very large map that can often be quite time-consuming to clear. Particularly looking at Aspire on their attacks last map, though, they didn't really choose to engage with the roam a lot of that time, both on the attack and also on the defense. We didn't really see a lot of wide open roaming setups. It was usually players either on the site or very closely around it. So we could be seeing a bit of an unorthodox style of play here on Cafe as well, because usually that's a map that is kind of denoted by how long it takes the attack to clear out those defensive positions and actually get to the execute itself. So we could actually be seeing some fast-paced Cafe rounds. I thought I'd never say that in my life, but it's certainly a possibility here. You've also got to consider MG Aspire have chosen to start on the attack, so they might have something cooking up there, but equally they might burn down the kitchen, because if you're giving SilentFamily the opportunity to get these rounds on the board on their defense early, you might be allowing this kind of wounded animal to get its strength back, and then you're dealing with them at full force on their attacks. So it's a risk. It might not pay off, but if Aspire have made this read correctly, there's certainly a lot to be gained here.
Yeah, absolutely. So now heading over onto the streets of Moscow, Cafe Dostoyevsky awaits us here, and the operator ban phase is underway. Brava already being taken out. And MG Aspire, they get their first ban in just a second. It's going to be the Grim.
Yeah, 2 kind of intel-focused attackers here. Crucially, not a shield, and Cafe has always been the shield map, so Now, particularly, you'd expect to see a lot of Monty. So Aspire have allowed themselves to have the option open, and that could
They
really
have.
help them get these early rounds on the board. Mirror Band as well. So it's really a lot of intel from both of these sides so far off the board as we see this final ban. Without, just 4 really intel focused bans. The Brava to me screams that the SilentFamily are going to want to be running that Maestro though. Usually
And
you
Echo
tend to
as
see
well.
Brava get banned. Or Echo, I guess, but Maestro, those cameras are static. They're really quite loud and noticeable as well. So sure, there's a lot
Yeah.
of intel and a lot of utility on that one operator, but it can be quite easy to counter with a Brava. So you get the Brava off the board, you got all 3 of those cameras. Basically, the only thing that can go bad there is they get destroyed. They can't be used really against you, so that's a great thing. Though no Maestro for this first round, though. Really kind of, dare I say, quite classic lineup here. Giga and Wamai, the Mute, Frost, and Castle all here. None of those kind of new problematic operators we've been seeing have these massive pick rates as of recently. Just standard, honest Siege.
Yeah. Like the reason I say Echo as well there, people, is just because if we think back to that last map, we did see quite a bit of Echo being brought along, but by both of the teams realistically. So there is a chance we see that again, specifically on the sort of kitchen site. And another thing we saw on Consulate is that Aspire really knew how to use that Montaigne, and they're immediately bringing him out here on Zello.
Yeah, just instantly locking in the operator again. Can't really blame them. Really strong pick in basically any situation at this point with shields. They used to be kind of risk reward with going for kills. Now they can both reliably get intel and reliably get 1v1 picks as well. So there's really no reason not to be running at Zelu on that operator. We're seeing a bit of aggression from Benz with that shotgun, just getting these different lines of sight open in case he needs to respond to any of these hatch drops. Still, though, if it's a Monty dropping in front of him, there's nothing he can really do. That just adds pressure, adds another thing he has to worry about. Drone work going down below. If they can suss out, I believe it's Timo down there, have a good start. Instead, Casper gets one. The cutoff fails onto Timo. The shield comes in, but it's a 3v1.
Oh,
Not even Monty can win that. 5v1 now as a Nitro sings. It's all on Carol. He's not even in the building yet, Cam. It's just gone disastrous for Aspire.
It really, really has. Unless Carol can pull out something massive, but the only thing massive is the golden text on the screen that says flawless round. A brilliant start there for SilentFamily, and again, this is what we worried about. That is the perfect start, the perfect springboard for them to get themselves back into this game, back into the series. It's their own map pick. They're starting on defense. You know they're gonna be strong, and well, they certainly were. Now down to the kitchen. Now this is a bit of a surprise because we don't see the Echo, we don't see the Maestro, we don't see anything that really shows why Brava's been banned out. Like, it doesn't make much sense to me thus far. Maybe in future rounds we will see those operators come in, but this is where we would expect to see that Maestro, to see that Echo. This is the site for those operators, but instead, not being brought along.
Yeah, quite a cheeky lineup from the attack, though, seeing that blitz, the sends as well, particularly. Probably the whole backbone of this attacking execute. If that sense dies, we could see a complete change of plans for the attack, because I imagine they're going to want to try and cut those lines of sight in half. Kitchen is quite a long, connected site, so if you can actually add more cover, it really helps you get a plant down. But those sense gadgets are finicky, and if you're putting all that kind of importance on one player, it can often lead to a lot of unforeseen circumstances. So Zella needs to be playing quite cautiously here. Shimizu, though, almost throwing caution to the wind, running immediately towards Merc. The sense as well, actually, was to dislodge this player, and Shimizu gets 2, eventually traded.
Wait,
in fact,
what?
Hook gets another 3v2, 2v2. Bunch of kills there in basically no time at all, but looks like SilentFamily on top.
14 HP on Scaps. They spotted the Asami! No! Her head was visible on your screen. Instead, shut down by Timo. Again, another very, very fast round, and another one where SilentFamily come out on top.
Yeah, I like the play. I like the sense covering the Blitz's push, but it was almost just too one-dimensional,
Pure
right?
chaos.
Sure, you've got that VIP control, you've got that blitz in position, you even get a second somehow onto the bar player.
Attackers
What
need
do you
to
really
locate
do
and
from
defuse
there?
bombs.
Sure, it allows you to put more pressure on the site. It allows you to maybe think about going towards red. But they had so many players bunched up together that if the defense just kept on taking fights and winning one of them, eventually the attack are going to just run out of players and they're going to lose. That's exactly what happened. Aspire, I like the idea. The execution was pretty good to start with, but from there it seemed like it almost seemed like an entire round defined by a single play. And once they'd made that play, they didn't quite know where to go from that. So unfortunate for them. It's going to be a library defense to finish off this first quarter of the match. The Monty being brought once again, like that first round, didn't find a lot of impact
5 seconds
back in
to
round
go.
one. I'd like to see them used more kind of teamwork oriented, because in that first round everyone was so isolated, so separated. If you just have a player with Zello, surely you're going to find a lot more impact there.
Yeah, stay again, shield being brought. Maybe a bit. Perhaps we might see something a bit more standard in this round. I'm not necessarily holding out too much hope for that, but you know, there's always a chance that things do calm down a little bit, because again, we've seen two very, very fast-paced rounds. Making sure they cover all of their angles, their flanks, using that air jab, although I think that's just straight up visible to any defender trying to ascend the staircase, so not entirely sure on the effectiveness, but as things stand, we've seen almost a minute and no one has died yet. This is already a market improvement.
Yeah, we did see Mercs go for an aggressive peek out that door, though. The intel has got to be going to him that Casper's on this repel position.
Doesn't matter.
And he just peeks it with an air jab. Glock's already been firing in that direction. He's not going to stop just because he can't see. Luckily, Zeller gets one, gets two, in fact. Traded out, but already put his team in such a good spot. The shield play again. Unfortunately, it's Ben's cleaning up after the rest of his team. It's almost a direct retelling of events in round two in a different site now. 1v3 this time for Skeps. He's got that LMG, got a lot of bullets, but such a difficult job ahead of him. That shield player is going to be incredibly difficult to dislodge. No nades actually being brought for the IQ this time, so he's having to try and find his way through these gunfights, but if Warden just plays behind that shield, there's nothing he can really do here. Constantly aware of the potential for a flank as well. Finally goes to this gunfight. In fact, Benz does throw it away. It's a 1v2, but a bit of damage dealt onto the IQ. They can't keep going for these damage trades, and Mercs finishes things off. Another really baffling round coming out from Aspire there. Particularly just, where's the teamwork? Where's the kind of team-oriented play we saw throughout Consulate as every single one of his players leaves? I assume we've got some kind of re-host? I don't know. I'm going to just pass over to you to fill some time, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm to throw you under the bus.
Yeah, thanks for that, people. I know I can always depend on you. I've even gone blurry. Absolute scam of this.
Oh,
I just
hello.
There you go. Now Pooble's been thrown under the bus.
I seemingly didn't process the word cams in my ear, so
yeah, congratulations for that.
Professional broadcast, everyone.
Yeah, we are professionals. That round, I mean, again, it's the same problems that we keep seeing, and it's such a stark contrast from Consulate. That's the thing that's getting me the most, right? Because think about Consulate, right? What did we praise probably the most for MG Aspire? It was their teamwork. It was being able to isolate positions, being able to get all of this done, and suddenly they're on a different map, and they've just lost the ability to play together just completely. It doesn't make any sense to me, people. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, just it seems like in every one of those rounds we've got just players on their own. Like Zello, he's trying his best, right, with these shields, gets the double kill, but there's no one with him. Why on earth are we sending a Monty on their own here? What's the reason? I get it, these shields are strong. They can certainly win any kind of 1v1 they're put into. You're walking into these heavily defended positions, just trying to make it work. It's a real shadow of the Aspire we saw back in Consulate, who, as you were saying, were so good at just playing off of each other's intel, playing off each other's gunfights. We never really saw them with a man advantage situation at all. They were always playing off of that, always off of that intel, always off of the trades. And some of those rounds got a little bit close on Consulate, but that was almost by design. They were willing to lose some of those bodies, but confirm the round win. And that's just not something we're seeing here because it's a bunch of isolated individuals trying their best to win their ones. And it's just never going to work out like that 100% of the time. You're always going to lose some of those gunfights. And because of that, they're losing ground, they're losing positions, and they're just giving SilentFamily these free wins.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like we're undergoing a rehost for a skin protest. Headgear. It's specifically the headgear. Because of course. So I'm not entirely sure. We'll wait for the admin. We can wait for the admin decision there on that one. I don't know quite the process for this, but again, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe there's a round replay. Maybe things just it's the first time is a warning. There's different processes on around. Again, we'll wait for the official confirmation on that before we say anything concrete. What we do know is that SilentFamily are kind of rocking Aspire right now, and this is the pitfall of choosing to start on the attack. We were cautious of this the whole time, and it feels like our fears and our comments are being kind of vindicated here, people.
Yeah, I guess if the round is replayed, I'd imagine it's going to be same sites, same ops, so that gives Aspire a chance to maybe do something a bit differently there. It's going to be library once again, if the round is replayed, so potentially we could be
we might see something actually happen in library this time.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a very clear way of fixing the problems for Aspire. Just play around your Monty. Like Zelo's shown he's a really good shield player, but they aren't kind of formulating their pushes around him. He's always on his own. So just play around that Monty. Use the Monty to actually clear that top floor instead of just kind of wildly swinging a bunch of different angles because they're always losing out on trades here. They've been doing a lot of damage in these rounds, but they're still losing them. So ultimately, it doesn't matter how many kills you're getting if the round win is still going the way of SilentFamily. If it's still 3-0 to that defensive side, maybe 2-0 asterisk. But, we just need to be seeing them sort of channel that gameplay we saw in Consulate because they were such a better team back in map 1. And this time, it's just... I don't know. I don't really know. It seems like something has drastically just flipped in these players' heads between maps. And it's not even like, map 1 kind of dragged a bit and they threw a couple rounds they should have won. They won it in really convincing fashion.
It was so good.
We had a perfectly kind of normal sized break between them as well. So I'm all out of ideas as to why Aspire are looking so weak. I guess one caveat here is they have managed to get this round replay. It's back to 2-0 now, so there is a chance for Aspire to put a round on the board here.
There's a chance. But at the same time, it's not been good signs, really, has it, Joe? And it's the same thing. And the thing that worries me is that we saw the same issue 2 rounds in a row, in both round 2 and round 3. We had the same problem. That's the thing that worries me the most, I think.
Yeah, luckily they've still got this Monty on the board. They've still got the win condition operator, so you just got to use them, really. We've got the same ops coming from the defensive side. All they need to worry about, I guess, are Frostmats and Nitros, because aside from that, Zelo is basically impervious to damage. So push with him, play around that, play the style of Siege we saw on Consulate, and they're surely going to start picking up some rounds. It seems maybe almost like a mental thing for Aspire here, but they didn't have the start they wanted, and from here they just kind of become a bit mentally boomed.
Yeah, there is always a next round, an opportunity to win, and this is probably the best opportunity. They're on a tertiary asterisk. Fireplaces seem to be coming into teams like primary and secondary sort of rotation these days, but it's the third site in the rotation. You'd imagine that this is where SilentFamily are the least confident of their rotation. So there's always opportunity, and we can see a very similar, if not the same setup hit again. There's similar results again. Block has been able to find this opening kill. This time it's Shimizu, but it's very, very similar to what we saw coming out in the first round, number 3, here on Cafe Dostoyevsky. Zello again is going to be pressuring up this top floor on this Montaigne,
A bomb has been located.
but it feels like we're doing. It feels very much like a copy and paste.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Sure, they've not lost the Nomad on a random repel yet. The edge
They've
does
lost the
actually go
buck.
out as well to help get rid of this player, and that should lead to a kill, but another response from the defense, and Timo gets another one. So despite them actually having a much better start this round, they've not managed to convert it into a win yet. It's now a 2v5, and now that insane man advantage is being used to just brute force themselves to a round win here. Carol in a 1v5, but so much to deal with. Again, that shield can't be dealt with. Timo just goes through a wild swing. He wins it, and Aspire have lost round 3 twice now.
Yeah, and it's even more damning than before.
If they weren't mentally boomed before this, they sure might be now.
Yeah, it just keeps going from bad to worse to even worse to even worse to even worse, etc. I'm at a loss of how to help this team. They've even gone away from the Montaigne. That's how much their faith has been rattled here, Joe. They're moving away, at least for now. There's always an opportunity again with the attacker repick inside of the prep phase. They can go back. They've moved away from the Montaigne. One of the better parts we've been saying of these attacks has been Zello playing on that Montaigne. And thank God he's back.
Yeah, I guess luckily for Aspire, if they win 2 of the next 3 rounds, they're still in a decent position heading into that second half. If they win 3, actually, you'd maybe even favor them, right? But it seems like they're in such a mental rut at the moment. They aren't really confident in their own gun skill. We're seeing them kind of almost timidly peek these angles and get slapped by SilentFamily players. So they need to just get over this mental block. And the best way they can do that is win a round, right? As simple as that. Is just win one of these rounds. They've got such powerful operators like the Monty, the AK-12 on Carol as well is an absolute killing machine. So they've got all the tools they need. They just need to win one, and I think that from there, the floodgates might open, and they might get that confidence back. But it's that first round win that's going to be so difficult for them, and has proven to be so difficult for them.
Oh, I love that from Benz as well. The nade thrown onto the hatch, shotguns out, and it's an opening pick again for the side of family. This time it's Mercs. Montaigne shots coming out, but down to low HP and explosive. And there's a Doc on side as well to heal up the teammates that were taking damage. And Zello goes for the unshield. It just keeps getting worse. Again, the collapse is calamitous here for Team Aspire. They now find themselves in a 2 versus 5. Shimizu's still on rappel. Carol has the smallest amount of control. Can't find that catch or the other one. Benz is running riot, and the swing up here from Timo is perfect. Caught in the reload, and now Shimizu all alone, everything to do. That's one good start, but still, there's 4 left to find, and they still are aware of this position. The air jab could be massive. It could be huge. Now the drop comes in. It's still such a difficult position here for these players. And finally, the players shut out. Timo, inside a cigar lounge, has that angle. And that ever-elusive round just keeps on hiding away from Team Aspire.
This is bullying at this point, really. We're seeing Aspire. Yeah, they just have no confidence in any of these engagements they're taking, right? We're seeing SilentFamily just running at them to kill them, right? Like, it just feels almost a bit sad to watch, right? Particularly when you consider how strong Aspire looked in that first map. But from here, they cannot find any kind of staging point to even make a comeback. Sure, 2 rounds left in the half. Again, a 4-2 half is perfectly manageable for Aspire here. If they can just get those remaining 2 rounds on the board, 2 in a row as well, They can make something happen on the defenses, maybe get to OT, maybe win it in regulation, but it seems so unlikely that they can even get a single round at this point. They are just being completely bested here. Every single opening they try and take advantage of, they are being met in heavy force by SilentFamily. We've seen just no matter what they try and do, almost SilentFamily have got an answer for it. And I guess they've got the other half on the defense, sure, but if you're going onto the defensive split with 6 rounds for your opponent, good luck winning the map. Good luck getting what you need there, because it's going to be very, very difficult.
It is going to
Defenders,
be
protect your
so
bombs from being
so
defused
tough.
by attackers.
So, heading into this one though,
I'm reloading.
I like to always say there's a chance. But now that it's been 4 rounds in a row, my hopes are very much limited at this point.
It's basically 5 in a row as well.
It is basically 5 in a row. Mentally, it will feel like 5 in a row, despite it being a 4-0 scoreline again. We had that rehost, we had the round replay. Where'd you go from here if your team Aspire? Because now they have moved away from that Montaigne. They are no longer using the shield. Yeah, sure. It's the bottom floor. This is probably where you can get away with that the most. And Zelos, in fact, bring along the Buck now. You got the Jackal. So it seems to me that there's going to be a heavy focus on the roam clear and just all in general, getting control above the bomb site, right? You have the Buck, you have the Nomad for the flank watch, you've got the Jackal to try and clear out those roamers. This seems to me like the plan is, especially with these drones still scouting out the top floor, that this is get control above the site, work the vertical, and find yourselves a plan.
Yeah, I like that they've still got a consistent and coherent game plan for this round, despite the misery they've experienced so far, and that misery has bled into this round too. That's Glock getting the opener. Timo, though, looking to be traded out onto it. In fact, Merc's taken down as well. He's looking to save his teammate, but yeah, it's a 2-for-1 advantage. Almost gets the third, but Glock still surviving, but pinged out by the Jackal scan. Still goes for the swing and still wins it. Where's Scouts at? They should have had some kind of...
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? What is happening?
It should not be an even man count 3v3 because Glock has still been allowed to persevere on this first floor. 4 HP finally taken out, but so much extra time wasted. What should have been a very simple trade by the Jackal went wildly out of control there. Still, Aspire in that man advantage. They thrived with that backing consulate. Here in Cafe, not so much, but there's still a chance as Brenz offers himself up to the vertical. They've got footsteps of the last player. It's going to be a 3v1 with those Jackal tracks as well. Senji has got an absolute insane task ahead of him. Does know where one player is. Focusing towards those red stairs. The UMP is not a kind gun for these scenarios, though, so he needs to play around this site setup towards him. Manages to get one to scouts. That's good. Still 2 remaining, but from opposite angles, can't really find either of them. And Aspire have finally got that elusive round on the board. One more, a 2-4 half. You can work with that, right? Just need to keep the ball rolling here.
Yeah, they absolutely need. Yeah, they absolutely do. And it seems like there's a bit of indecision now here from SilentFamily. Do they go back towards Kitchen? Do they continue their rotation up towards Fireplace? And, well, they're going to go towards Fireplace. It's not very rare that you get to say they've already won it twice in this half, and they're going to go there again as the defense. But that's exactly the situation we find ourselves in. One of those rounds, it got down to a 1v3, I believe. The other one, it was flawless from SilentFamily. So they've looked pretty good here on this site. It makes sense that they go here again, and it means that Aspire, they can't, I guess, rely on that previous experience of, they won on the bottom floor. If they've gone there again, they're like, aha, we've already won here. They have that mental boost. They have also a bit more of an insight instead. They have to go somewhere where they have been demolished quite heavily twice. It's not quite the same setup that we see coming through from SilentFamily. We don't have those castle barricades up on the top floor. We don't have the one behind the shield inside of Cocktails. A little bit of a different position, but still pretty similar.
Yeah. SilentFamily seems to win this round, I think. You know, obviously, even if they somehow lose it, it's still kind of pretty workable, but if they lock out any chance of a comeback here, then it basically locks out the map for Aspire. Velo already taken down right at the start yet again here by SilentFamily. That's a great opener. That's a great start to their final defensive round here, making the most of the side. Still not over for Aspire, but without that Monty as well to really force players out of position, it's going to be even more difficult to get control on this top floor and convert that into control on the second floor too. So a lot of work needs to be done. They've got the drones and they've got the intel infrastructure to help them out here, but they've got to win those gunfights, and they've been so difficult to actually get on top of here as Shimizu taken down so low. Still not a lick of damage onto the defense either in this round.
Things going bad for worse. Glock maybe could have got a catch there instead. It's a trade, a response. Something that we've seen so rarely from Aspire in this half. Shimizu is able to get that pick. Right below HP, with still a gun up, and now the vertical being opened up above. This is big, this is massive in fact. Casper now with a kill brings the advantage into the hands of Aspire, and there's another kill. You said, Joe, once Aspire get that first round, the floodgates might open, and it certainly seems like that is the case here. Sanji and Glock trying to hold on, but they're in a 2 versus 4. Both of these players, on average, they have to get 2 kills each. And the drop has to come through. These players are isolated from each other. They don't know where each other is playing, and it's being opened up above them. The floor, Sanji can't escape. Glock, though, with a double, needs 2 more. He's gonna have to go massive in this situation. In a 1 versus 2. Casper and Scaps he's up against. And again, these players have the vertical. But he's underneath some hard flooring right now, in a fairly safe position, and the time is low, just 30 seconds. Aspire, they're the ones with the onus on them. They're the ones that have to try and push aggressively. And Glock has spotted the catch onto one. Diffuser now being planted, but the player covering is lower on HP. They're just holding back. They're sitting safe. And now the pressure is all on Glock, and the kills rain down. Bullet hell inside a train museum. And it works out. MG Aspire, 2 on the board, have salvaged themselves a winnable position here on Cafe Dostoevsky.
Yeah, and that's really a turning point. Round 5, it was very much down to SilentFamily getting a little bit too cocky, a little bit too aggressive. They were just throwing themselves at Aspire, thinking they'd win, and they lost those gunfights. So you can kind of ignore that round almost and write it off as them just being a little bit too comfortable. But round 6, SilentFamily were playing much more standard, much more reserved, and Aspire was still able to carve their way through that setup. 2 in a row to end their attacking half. Now on the defense, suddenly things are looking quite good for them here. Sure, SilentFamily have been very proficient throughout this map, but now they're on the weaker side, and in recent history, they have been dominated by the opposing team. So this is actually a much better situation I think Aspire could have ever hoped for, coming off of losing effectively 5 rounds in a row. Obviously, we did have that round replay. Didn't change the outcome, though, back in round 3. It was 2 wins in a row to SilentFamily. So Aspire have actually really dug themselves halfway out of a very deep hole. They've still got to do the rest of the work in this match to actually win it out. 5 required here on the defense for a regulation win is definitely quite a tall order, but they were very, very strong on Consulate. They were very good with their teamwork on the defense. Just got to see if they can mimic it here.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Like you said, there's precedent that they did well, but there's also precedent that they do well on their attacks. And well, SilentFamily, they start out with the opening kill again. This is something that became quite a regular occurrence in the first half. And, well, the consensus holds true here. It's those opening picks for SilentFamily. not the worst of operators to lose in Melusi. You hope that most of her utility, those Banshees, are already down and placed. It's just a matter of the gun and obviously the player advantage. Still got some magnets as well. At least the Wamai didn't go down. The EMP also being caught. These grenades are just proving to be so difficult to actually get. And now that explosion comes in, it doesn't really force Shimizu too far away. Still has a shield as well and is able to place it somehow. This is ridiculous. And Casper's lined up a double to swing the momentum right back in the favor of Team Aspire.
What am I looking at here? We see Shimizu just big balls in it with the shield. Really good job from Casper, just holding his angle.
Shield for about a minute and a half. And he's got a kill.
Insane! That's a 1v4! Shimizu's getting so much impact here.
How? How does that happen?
Well, Aspire wanted a good start here on this defensive half. I think they've certainly got it. Not only was that a pretty dominant round, it was a really funny one. So if anything's going to get the spirits up for this team, it's probably going to be that.
Oh, dearie me. I've been doing pretty well with my throat. I'm still ill, everyone. You might be able to start hearing that come through because that round has just absolutely finished me off. I might die in this series if we keep getting stuff like that. I might end up dead by the end of this match.
Could be a possibility. Could definitely be a possibility with how the kind of craziness of these rounds is slowly ramping up as we progress forward in map 2. Aspire though, onto their second defensive round here. It's going to be Library, a really strong site because it necessitates a top floor clear. So if they can win on the top floor, they can basically win down below. It's just going to be a case of can SilentFamily crack through this roam, or if they can do a super fast push. But that's so risky, and at this point, if you lose this round, suddenly it's all even. So they're probably going to want to stray away from a risk. Just go for a standard roam clear, but they're missing almost the most standard part of the standard roam clear nowadays, Cam. That's the Monty, not being played at all. No shields seen for SilentFamily. Instead, they're going to be relying heavily on this Dekai intel. Maybe the Ash as well to break these castle barricades. They've got some tools for the job, but actually, when it comes to pushing them out of position, you know, the Monty's the best thing to do that, and it's not being brought again here. Timo gets the open. Surprisingly, he gets 2 in fact. No Monty required, just the SMG-12. He gets a bit aggressive, wanting to take more ground, is taken down by Casper, who now gets aggressive himself. He can even things out, a nice bit of intel from his teammates, but not quite another kill. Still man disadvantage, and Scups gets so aggressive and pays with his life. 4v2 now as SilentFamily look to set things straight on the second half.
An incredibly high octane start to this round, and things get evened out again. Glock is down downstairs. That's the work of Shimizu. It's now a 2 versus 2. Player spotted out on the drone, and still might not be able to cross back with his teammate, but they are now able to establish a crossfire to hold themselves these angles. And the information lacking for the side of SilentFamily, but Sanji's in down below. If Shimizu isn't aware of this, he could get caught in the back. This is a massive opportunity for Sanji because he's getting all of the information. There's no one down here. Control of the site is in the hands of the attack.
I hope they've got those vertical holes set up and they're pre-placed. Because if they do, they can easily deny a plant here. Shimizu, though, so cautious. Doesn't want to give away his position. Still not pushing through. Plant's going to get stuck down. Suddenly things drastically switch yet again. Sanji covering that hatch drop too. Vertical holes above where Mercs was playing, so Casper can get something done here. He sees the feet, but he doesn't go for the kill. Have some faith in yourself, man. You can easily take on this player, and then he looks away. Still doesn't confirm the kill! Mercs is able to get out of there. 25 HP, another opportunity blown away by the team. Finally, though, 1 kill comes through. Mercs is low, 12 seconds required. They can take him out here, but they also want to get the plant. And they get this done. Breach is open.
Slowly
it's going to be a lot of teamwork.
They're not watching. They're not watching. There's no time. You can't get off now, but they have to confirm the kill. Mercs with a 1v2 clutch. Just in the nick of time there. Played that to perfection, and the timing was so damn glorious for him there. Try as they might up on the top floor, because I mean, you've got to give credit to the players in that 2v4, but unfortunately it just doesn't go their way, and it's another one that slips for them, a round that they really shouldn't have let go.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at that round, if we just saw Shimizu, I believe, take that shot through the vertical,
Yeah,
take down Mercs entirely, make it into a 1v2 far more earlier.
I
give
like the
themselves
idea though.
confidence.
I did like the idea. They ping out the player. They have the impact hole. That the player opens, the other player opens up the impact above, and then you have two. So while they're trying to rotate away, you can get the catch. Unfortunately, they then miss every shot on Merc.
Well, they've got to hold the angle, right? That's the crucial part of
That's
that
the
play
crucial
that wasn't
part, yeah.
followed. It seemed like
Attackers must
he wanted to
locate
go for the
and
other
defuse
hole
bomb.
despite holding the angle the entire time. I don't. Micro mistakes, very small decisions could have changed the outcome of that round. Instead, we're looking at 5-3. Still way too close for SilentFamily to be comfortable, though, as 2-round gap is nothing major. We could be seeing an Aspire comeback here.
We very much could be. Like you said, it micro mistakes, but it's macro consequences, and this has kind of been the story of this map so far for MG Aspire. They just make little mistakes, little slip-ups,
Attackers have located
and it
a bomb.
ends up costing them in the biggest of ways. They pay such a dear price for these slip-ups. There's a nice start, though. Carol has been able to find the opener, which is always something positive. The swing onto Timo works out well, holding onto this top floor. A bit more security than this time around for the side of Aspire, and Carol's been able to find a second, Joe.
Yeah, just as Castle holding down the position there. It seemed like Timo on the nut was a crucial part of that push as well, just using the gadget to try and get towards Cocktail side undetected. Very clearly, though, was detected and taken out. A nice 2-man advantage, although Sanji has gotten close. Mercs has finally taken down Carol. Sanji could really play spoiler here. He's already effectively on that dining room site, can cause a lot of damage on these players if he just pushes a little bit forward. Mercs doesn't want to get too far ahead of himself. Happy to just stay in bar for the time being. They've got these cutoffs established, but they still need to actually do something here. They need to set actions into motion, and it looks like a quick double kill for the team.
No.
Gets that, just proves that entirely. 3v2 now. Sanji's been detected, but he's in the site. Zele takes down Benz. He's still up here, but doesn't know about Mercs. And it's a 1v1.
How on earth has it gotten to this situation again? And Mercs this time has the vertical the exact same way that his teammate was called out and killed in the previous round. Now using it against them, Casper opens up with the impact grenade. A little bit more pressure being applied, but Mercs has so much time to work with. 35 seconds and counting. Casper spotted out on drones. Knows exactly where this drop might be coming through, though. The Casper, no! You have to land those shots! Somehow, some way, SilentFamily are on map point now. I'm stunned.
The crazy thing is, this should probably be like 5-4 to Aspire, right? They've thrown 2 rounds. Well, I suppose round 8 was looking to be a SilentFamily round, and Aspire kind of clutched up big in that second half. But come the ending portions of both these past 2 rounds, it's looked to be Aspire winning it out, and they just haven't been able to get it over the line. So you've got to empathize with them. They're playing a lot better still. I would like to see more signs of life from players that aren't Casper and Shimizu. They have been the standouts on this defense. And the thing we were really criticizing SilentFamily for back in Consulate was it was effectively a 2-man team. And now SilentFamily are playing a lot more together, a lot more balanced. These stat lines are a bit misleading. We did have a rehost at some point in this match, so not all the kills are picked up here. But particularly in this half, we're seeing a variety of players hit the scoreboard. Whereas as for Aspire, it's basically been Casper and Shimizu, and occasional appearances from these other players. So I need the remaining players of that team to step up and step up big. 3 rounds in a row required to get to OT, an additional 2 more from then to win this map entirely, or else you're off to Skyscraper.
Yeah, somewhere where, especially after the result and concert, we didn't really think we'd be seeing Skyscraper at all, but now things definitely seem like they're heading that way. SilentFamily, all they need is just 1 round in the next 3. And Team Aspire have just shown a complete lack of finesse here on the defense of Cafe Dostoevsky, and realistically on their attacks as well. They've only had the 1 defense so far as well, which is not something that you'd really consider a possibility. Like, defending on Cafe Dostoevsky is the way you should be advantaged, but there's already damage being dealt to 2 of these Aspire players. Shimizu inside a barback storage lands a lovely shot in response. Down to 1 HP, but even still is alive and delivered an absolute beauty of a shot. Benson inside of the fire, I think was maybe caught on a drone. It's a 5 versus 3. Somehow, some way, the advantage lies in the hands of Team Aspire, Joe.
Yeah, Shimizu is a player who, when backed into a corner, when he's on low health, goes for these insanely risky swings and seemingly always wins them. Scops, though, taken down by Glock, who's finally got control of this cigar lounge. But a couple more players he'd have to deal with to get more map control, though. So requesting assistance from his teammates, looks like they're trying to get one of these players from Cocktail to expose themselves a bit too much. Can't ace open that wall. The mute jam is stopping that. Casper still not giving his life away at all, holding this Cocktail corner position quite happily. Zello as well. They Aspire realize the weight of this situation, the weight of this round, and they're not leaving anything up to chance. They're just playing very standard, very passive. They've got their 2. Not passive enough, though. Casper taken down. Timo knows where these remaining players are, too. It's only 40 seconds remaining. Aspire are now going for these risky shots, but they just don't need to. It's just kill after kill after kill for SilentFamily. Carol in a 1v3. Made it a 1v2. Knows where this ace is. Knows they're low on health, too. Timo, though, not going to get spotted. He sprints! Gives his position away with the kill. But now it's going to be this gunfight. Timo knows he has to take this swing, really. Both these players leaving up to gunfight. The prone fake. What's going on, Carol?
I don't know!
He fakes 2 prones, stands up twice, and still manages to get the pick with that shotgun. Full faith in his weapon. A missed shot. 1 single missed shot there by Timo could have led us to a very different situation. Instead, Aspire is still in it. But we're still seeing this kind of top-heavy nature from this team, right? Shimizu gets an incredibly good kill. Casper as well, even, wastes a lot of time on Cocktail. And the rest of the team, sure, they kind of clutched up when they needed to, but I need to see them actually, from the start, putting in effort to win these rounds. They can't keep relying on Shimizu getting a nuts kill. They can't keep relying on Casper wasting 2 minutes of time. I need to see a more coherent style of play from this team. And they're going down to Kitchen for the first time in this half. They've clearly been hiding this for something, for some reason. Still, no Maestro. This Bravo ban has had basically no effect, I suppose.
Yeah,
sure.
at least we're getting an echo this time around.
Yeah, sure we would have had like 4 more drones for the 2 more drones for the attack. But we've never really seen an attacking team be lacking in drone work, really, and lacking in the amount of drones. So this Bravo ban, very odd, hasn't really had an impact on any of these defensive setups. But another fast lineup from the attack, Jackal and Blitz being brought along with the IQ and Ash. This could be a quick horizontal push or just a quick roam clear in general.
Reloading!
Indeed, again,
Deploying bomb.
Shields, I'd say fairly limited success actually in the first half for Team Aspire. and those shield operators, but they use them. Surely they know how to counter them, right?
Sure.
Right? Surely. The default camera inside of library hasn't been
Bomb located by
taken
attackers.
down, or inside a pillar hasn't been shot. So that's information consistently being fed over to the defense about these players. The Ram, though, is going to be a bit of a bigger problem, opening up large swathes of the area up above the site. And now the drone comes in. Fellow has been spotted and wisely chooses to avoid going for that flank. That entire play relies on surprise, and as soon as you get droned out, you no longer have that. The site is also quite a difficult position to play for the defense. Jimmy, though, he goes aggressive up the red stairs, finds one, and gets away, still escaping the blitz as well.
Yeah, just fantastic play from the mute there. Gets his one and survives to tell the tale. Mercs, despite being on this blitz, is still playing really passively on these vertical angles. He needs to be this point of contact for the attack, and we see him rotating down. Question is, how many of his team are going to rotate with him? Because a blitz on his own isn't that lethal, particularly when you have this man disadvantage. So Timo is tasked to be his wingman. Mercs finally makes his way into the bakery. Got a lot to deal with those. Managed to catch one of these players off guard. That's Carol taken down, and uh-oh. We see another player in bakery. The nade goes a little bit too wide, but Shimizu is isolated here. The C4 gets one. Shimizu knows where the second is. He just needs to hide behind this bakery counter. Force a play from the rest of the team, but no. He gives his life away. Timo's got a second so far. Skeps is being jackal tracked as well. SilentFamily being gifted an opportunity back into this round by over-aggression from the defensive side.
And if they win this round, the map is over. Aspire, they cannot afford to be making these mistakes. And again, it's a tiny moment, but it could have the direst of consequences here. Just 30 seconds left in this round for SilentFamily to try and make a play, and Timo is inside of prep with this diffuser. The shots don't land from Zello. That's a key moment. The Casper's flanking up above, and I don't know if they're aware of this. Zello might be able to find the catch on the angle. There it is, and Casper up above. There's now only 7 seconds. There's barely any time. Shortbends gets that kill, but all Casper needs to do is hide. Make sure you can get the angle. Vertical. Benz is planting the diffuser into red time, and I have a feeling this round is done. It's over, and Team Aspire stay alive for just one more.
All 12 rounds at minimum required here on Cafe. We are seeing a reinvigorated Aspire side. What I've got to point out, it's those two players yet again, Casper and Shimizu, who are getting the majority of the work done in these defenses. If there's any time for the other 3 players to step up here, it would be now, right? Facing down this final round of match point. If they get this win, suddenly they're all even. For the first time in this match, I believe. All even in terms of round count. So there's a lot on the line here. Obviously, if they lose it, we're off to Skyscraper. So SilentFamily, they're going to want to get this done in quite quick fashion, I'd imagine. The Spire are still hanging on, trying to get just a bit more out of this map. Defending library and dining here. It's going to be another top floor extension required. And so far, SilentFamily have been very willing to play into these extended roams by the defense. So don't expect a fast horizontal push. I think Aspire can be quite comfortable putting a lot of resources on that top floor because they know SilentFamily are going to go there first. It's got to win some gunfights. We've seen Aspire slowly heat up in the gunfight department in this map. So it's really all even here, I'd say, Cam. There's just equal chances for either of these teams to win this round, and one of them potentially win the map. We just need to see if Aspire can keep this newly found form going.
Yeah, and it's gone to a site, and they didn't have success with thus far. They attempted it, tried it again, both times were failures, although they did get pretty damn close on both attempts. This time, they have a bit more momentum behind them, but they've lost the opening pick. Really nice drone work there to spot out Zello through the wall, and, well, the pre-fire from the hatch, there's not necessarily much that Zello can do in that situation, but it makes the job for the rest of Team Aspire even more difficult. They find themselves in a 5 versus 4, trying to stave off Skyscraper.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of great drone work from SilentFamily, and that's just continuing. A lot
worse.
of great gun skill as well. Carol taken down. Vizzello also being the opening pick. Casper and Shimizu, those two power players, are still alive, but I ask how much they can really do here in a 3v5. Shimizu realizes the moment is on him, gets aggressive on this vertical angle, looking upwards this time, and try and catch one of those attackers off guard as Casper rotates back to the site. It's all on Scats alone on this top floor, but he too is looking to abandon it, but wants to get one on his way out. Could cost him his life, though. He does finally get to this first floor, but there's a player meeting him. It's going to be Benz, who's already found himself towards dining. These SilentFamily players swarming on this first floor now. They've realized the top floor is free ground. Now they want to get even more map control. Shimizu can't hit his shots, gets taken down. It's a 2v5. It got so close, Cam. But it looks like it's going to be a 7-5 here. It looks like it's going to be a SilentFamily win after all. And Skyscraper is up next. Map 3 has been confirmed here on Cafe.
Yeah, absolutely. It just gave themselves a little bit too much to do after that first half performance. SilentFamily, though, a very, very good attacking half, making it 3-3 on their attacks. Yeah, absolutely. So it works out well for them. And again, we find ourselves now on to Skyscraper, where, let's face it, again, after Consulate, we didn't think we'd be there. And it looked like Aspire were fighting back there inside of map 2 as well. Unfortunately, like I said, it was just a bit too difficult of a task, right? So now we look onto Skyscraper. What in your mind, Joe, is going to be the key thing on this map? And then following on from that, who takes it?
Well, to no surprise, Aspire have been better on their defenses. And it looks like finally in Sky, we're going to be seeing Aspire starting on the defense. That gets to be their first half. So they get to start the map on that stronger side. And they seem to be a very momentum based team, right? We saw that in both those maps. In Consulate, they started hot, they kept going. On Cafe, they started really cold. There was an extended period of just no success. But once they finally won some rounds, they managed to just play a lot better, a lot closer. So on a Skyscraper, rather, if they could start on their defenses, win those defenses, they can very easily just have a bit of a steamroll there once again, just like on Consulate. So I think the starting half is actually really going to help Aspire here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Skyscraper on the docket in just a few minutes. But before that, we're going to throw it to a very quick break. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Let's run you through this game. I'm still Pastor, still joined by Pooble, by the way. Let's run you through this game. It started off with a 1-round deficit for SilentFamily because they weren't able to join the lobby in time, so they faced a 1-round penalty. And MG Aspire go on to win our first map, Consulate, their own map pick, 7 rounds to 3. Then we head on to SilentFamily's map pick. MG Aspire chose to start on the attack on Cafe Dostoyevsky. They go down 4-0 immediately, but technically also lost 5 rounds in a row because we had a round be replayed due to an illegal skin being used. And they start fighting back, sure. It gets to be a 7-5 win for SilentFamily. Now we head on to our third map, Skyscraper. After what's already been... There have been quite a few infuriating moments, I think it's fair to say, Pooble. And OPL doesn't have the option for how we do our map bans here. So after the first 2 maps, whichever team has the best round difference gets to start on, or gets to choose what side they start on. Now, obviously, if you've been paying attention to what I've been explaining, you'll know that MG Aspire are the team with the best round difference. And on the Skyscraper, they've chosen to start on the attack again. After they got demolished on Cafe Dostoyevsky, let's face it, Joe, it did not go well. On a map that favors the defense even more, they've chosen to go attack again.
Look, and the main kind of talking point we had coming off of map 2, as we see the bans come in, Monty finally banned out. The main talking point we had was that Aspire is really momentum based, and if they can get a good, strong first half in, they could actually just completely, just wash out SilentFamily in this third map. Starting Skyscraper on attack, though, is probably not the best way to get a strong start because this map really, really favors the defense. It does a lot of kind of the hard work for them with the way it just naturally bottlenecks the attack. So, yeah, safe to say starting on the attack is a very bold decision. We said this about them starting the attack on Cafe and how it might come back to bite them, and guess what? It did. 7-5. Maybe if they had a stronger start on there, we would be seeing a completely different series of events. Instead, we're here on map 3. Another Grim ban, by the way. This is almost kind of becoming a bit of a standard for Aspire here. Fenrir, though, getting banned out as well. So, as I said, the way that this map bottlenecks the attack, you aren't going to want an operator like Fenrir who can just hold down some of these angles with those gadgets. And Valk, a very consistently powerful operator, also taken down. Nothing too out of the ordinary for these bans, aside from that Grim, but it's kind of just become a bit of a standard for Aspire here.
Absolutely has. Montaigne being banned away, but still shields available and already being floated here by the side of Team Aspire. Shimizu on that blitz. Now, we've seen quite a lot of shield use coming in from MG Aspire thus far in the series to mixed success. On Consulate, it went very, very well for them, but on Cafe Dostoyevsky, really, really did not. But the shield play wasn't necessarily the issue on that map. It was everything else in the team that was the issue on that map, on the attacks anyway. So I would still say that the shield play is quite strong for them. And I'm excited to see it come through here, especially as we have the Blitz as an opportunity maybe for a fairly aggressive first round of things here. We've also can see a bit of a personnel change here on the side of SilentFamily, Rigora coming into the team. So maybe that could also be something that's in the advantage for Aspire. You've got a player coming in who's maybe not quite as warmed up, maybe doesn't quite have the same momentum as the rest of the squad. That could potentially help them out, but it all remains to be seen.
Yeah, other big thing here is the Bravo, who's banned out in the previous map, but we couldn't really figure out why. But we're seeing them here in that first round with Zello on that role, so might be here to school us on what the intention behind that ban was and why SilentFamily was so desperate to escape it. Still, no immediate action as of yet. We're seeing those Trek Stingers go out. A nice bit of vertical play from the Gridlock player of Casper. Ooh, another rotation as well. They've managed to get towards the external door, and Shimizu is crucially in the building now on this blitz with the shield in play. And that really put more pressure on these different attackers. Alex was almost given a freebie there. Shimizu falls into the fire, takes a hefty amount of damage, and now I think he's in impact range. Rogara's got 2 of them in pocket. Mercs himself has 1, so Shimizu has to be incredibly careful. Timu needs to be as well, but Carol takes him out. A 5v4. Good start for Aspire. Nice open pick. Their shield player is very, very low.
Yeah, that is the concern. Rotero, though, is going to force Rogara away from that position there inside the shrine, you know, playing behind the shield. It's very, very important that, well, you still have a shield in front of your face. Otherwise, you're kind of a sitting duck. So, good signs coming through from Aspire, but again, time could be a factor, and this is where Skyscraper really helps the defense. Where you said, Joe, these natural bottlenecks in the map. It's these single doorways coming through the top floor. However, with a shield, that entry is made significantly easier. Shimizu been able to make it on towards Shrine, the flash and the swing, but Mercs is there for 1, nearly a second as well. A chip damage dealt onto Skirps, and Glock is there to collect on that. Suddenly advantage in the hands of SilentFamily. These long-range gunfights not being won out, and neither are the short-range ones. It's now all on Casper in a 1 versus 3 as that confirmation comes through on the pick. The pre-fire is at least going to be red, but low HP now, and the crossfire established by SilentFamily. Decent first round there for the defense, and this is the worry. This is the concern, because it gives SilentFamily a way to get a good stockpile of rounds very early on.
Yeah, and we were talking about momentum. Aspire need to win a round to keep on winning them, and already that's been delayed by 1 round here. We've seen SilentFamily had a really good hold of things in the second half, despite Aspire having a very decent start to that round. They got the opener. They got the entire one half of that top floor completely cleared for very little in result, just a bit of chip damage. I was about to criticize SilentFamily for not using their utility, their impact nades, against Shimizu on that blitz, but instead he just turned his back on one of the players, freebie for them, and SilentFamily managed to really pick up the pace from there on. Aspire, it was a good start. The problem we saw last map is Cafe. They had quite a few good starts, but they could never seem to convert it until the kind of waning phases of their attacking split. So they're going to need to just be better at converting these rounds. We aren't seeing a Monty in play, obviously, because of the ban. We're not seeing any shields in play at all this round for Aspire, so it's going to be on the gun skill. And so far, in recent history, SilentFamily have been really besting them consistently when it comes to just heads-on engagement.
Reload.
Indeed, indeed. It's worrying signs here for Aspire early on. Obviously, it's only been the 1 round, but I'm seeing a lot of parallels here between Skyscraper and Cafe Dostoyevsky. And that is slightly worrying. A good start for Ragaru as well inside of that round, making sure that they can get themselves warmed up into this game very, very quickly. The hard breach coming on in, using the Maverick instead of the Thatcher, just trying to open things up in maybe that less traditional way. Yazami being spotted out by the RC Rotero, taking away those 2 barriers. All of this information and focus on removing utility so far for the defense, but they still have quite a bit to play around.
Again, chip damage for Aspire, and this time it's actually a direct pick onto them too. Shimizu, the real shining light of map 2, taken down early. Not really found anything so far in this map. Of course, only 2 rounds have gone by though, so... And as we expected, either way, SilentFamily, a much stronger start here, and if they can just combine that with their strong finish, they should be in for yet another round win here. Map control. Really heavily in their control, but Scouts is trying to get aggressive, trying to find one, but as another one of his teammates fall, it just puts more and more pressure on this floor. It's another death.
Oh,
Teammate's
no.
had an incredible start to this round. Double for him, and Scouts' position is more than known at this point. He still manages to get one. That's Timu getting a bit too aggressive, but another one of his teammates falls. It's all on him, a 1v4, maybe into a 1v3, but just attack a defender's even from every angle. He can't win this out, and he dies. Second round in a row, and I hate to say it, I hate to to be sort of propagating this narrative that, Team Aspire can't seem to win when they're in these ruts, but it's looking very, very similar to Cafe. It's looking like almost hopeless unless Aspire can really just stamp their foot down and get something here, because they can't afford to wait till they're 4-0 down again, because it just wasn't enough back on Cafe, and it won't be enough here on Sky.
Yeah. Again, we can only really look at the past, and what we have in the past is we have, well, Cafe Dostoevsky. It feels very, very similar because we're drawing these parallels. SilentFamily, they're already off to a fantastic start here, and they can just keep this ball rolling. However, we do now find ourselves in a tertiary site. And this isn't like Cafe, where the sites are all kind of like about as good as each other. Barbecue and Kitchen is straight up worse than the two sites we've just seen. So there's an opportunity, there's a chance, and realistically, this I don't want to say it too early, but I feel like this round is kind of must win for Team Aspire.
Yeah, if they get stuck in that similar position, it's looking very unlikely they'll win out this map entirely. Fast push onto the second floor, Shimizu making the most of the tools at his disposal, breaking open that soft wall. They've also got this castle, but quickly dealt with as well. They're wanting to get as much map control as early as possible so they don't get forced into these uncomfortable situations in the late round. And so far, they're doing a pretty good job of it. Zello and Shimizu pushing up. Guns at the ready, but they just can't win it out. The UMP besting the buck there as Glock gets another 5-0 so far. Still playing very aggressive. Make it 6-0. Another double for him. Just getting kill after kill after kill. Such insane impact from this player. Mercs gets another, and this must-win round is looking like a loss so far, Cam, unless Aspire can drastically turn things around.
We were critical of Glock on Consulate, but they've certainly woken up, finally shut down inside of this round, but the impact already more than felt. A nice double to try and keep SilentFamily in with a chance, and quite a big chance it's turned out to be. Like you said, it's a 2 versus 3, and there's still these players up on the top floor causing a nuisance. It's actually only Mercs, but Benz is downstairs, Rugger as well, trying to watch over, and Mercs himself has also found a double. Now here comes the assistant. It's not even needed, spreading the angle, and from the long range as well. It does... What do you even do right now if you're Team Aspire? Everything that happens, they just get shut down by SilentFamily. It's a team that has well and truly now found their footing.
Yeah, and the most kind of heartbreaking part of that is even those star players of Shimizu and Casper are getting shut down at this point and not finding any real impact in these rounds. And they were, the few bright spots of the early rounds of Cafe, and even some of that second half as well, where things were looking bleak. Despite that, though, they just aren't finding anything. Casper's only 3-3, and Shimizu's has yet to find any impact on the scoreboard. He's not the only one on his team. 2 players are 0-0-3. It's just not the performance you want to be seeing at all, but specifically not 3 rounds into map 3 of a series. You need to be sort of firing on all cylinders here. You compare that to SilentFamily, where sure, it's looking a little top-heavy, but all those players have found impact on the scoreboard. They've all got at least 1 kill and 1 assist. So obviously, this game isn't just about kills. There's the whole objective time factor, but getting kills is objectively a good thing for your team. So 2 of your players haven't even helped someone else do that. Like, that's just not a good sign. We need to be seeing all these players in Aspire step up rather, as we're entering that second half of this first half for them. So, things are getting really serious. 3 rounds on this attack remaining. And again, scarily similar to Cafe, because it's 3 in a row so far for SilentFamily.
Yeah. The only difference here is that, well, the rounds haven't been replayed just yet. Player being spotted out there on the drone. And the Blitz is going to be able to jump in here to assist. Glock forced away from that position. Lovely pick from Zello to open things up. And forcing the Goyo away as well. This is exactly what we wanted to see in round number 1. And Zello finally delivering, giving us the goods. And it's made it a 5 versus 3.
Yeah, looking to be a winning round so far. Timu just stuck in the fire, not wanting to leave, I suppose. I mean, he was prone there. I don't know if maybe he was AFK or something, and just a secure position. Either way, another kill
Not
for
very
the side of
secure, as it
Aspire.
turns out.
Yeah, Rogera has to move away as well, so things is going from bad to worse. Benz is the only player who's securely on site at this point. I think Rogera might manage to make his way back onto that top floor. Benz is taken down, and Rogera is soon to follow. It's a flawless for Aspire, just what they need to break the streak. It's one round earlier than on Cafe as well, and you could argue that one round was all they needed in our previous map. It would have gotten them to overtime.
Yeah.
So this is not much of an improvement as of yet, but it's still an improvement. It could still help them when we get onto that second half, when we really get down to these fine margins of this map and of this match in general.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
I mean, I guess you could also argue it's kind of, not score-wise, but mentality-wise, it's 2 rounds earlier than on Cafe Dostoevsky, because again, we had that round replay. That definitely didn't, it definitely didn't help the situation. But again, they, like you mentioned, Joe, they've got that first round. This is the opportunity for the floodgates to open. That's the phrase that we used on Cafe Dostoevsky, and I feel like it was fairly accurate, because for most of the middle section of that map, it was mostly Team Aspire. There was the odd round here or there from SilentFamily and a bit of an uptick near the end. But that one round, like you said, was all they needed to get the gears going. And this time again, they found that round. They're going for something similar, although it's a different site this time. The Blitz still in play, and the window opened up, or the soft wall even. There's a lot of damage onto Carol, but Mercs can't collect on that kill, and in fact gets damage dealt to themselves as well. It's just a little bit. Even still, the defense win that exchange, but they would have loved to find a kill there. Instead, still a 5v5.
Yeah, you'd reckon most of the guns there as well that aren't the TCSG could probably lock it out, but that gun is so difficult to maneuver around, especially if you panic in that particular moment, and it looked like, well, it looked like Mercs maybe panicked a little bit, both players catching each other off guard. Still, damage on the hard breach is nice. It means you could potentially throw out things like impacts and nitros towards the breach later on, and Mercs, in fact, just doubles down, gets rid of Shimizu. Great start for SilentFamily yet again, as this Blitz player has been found, but Zello can't find anything. It's all too predictable this time when he goes for the ADS swing, and he is quickly countered. Aspire thought they had something going for themselves, but everything's been read into perfectly here. A fully kind of one-dimensional push now towards this drum side, it looks to be. There is one player towards Dragon who can find something, but Casper's realizing this is an absolute fort that he just cannot break down whatsoever. So a one-dimensional push it is, and a boss G to meet them. Timo gets another one for his team, a double in fact. 1v5 for Aspire. I think we've said so often in these past 2 maps. That's another flawless.
Yeah, and that's also something that's been quite common in these past 2 maps as well. Another flawless round for the side of SilentFamily. It's how they ended Cafe. It's how they started Cafe as well. They just can't stop winning, it feels like. Karaoke and T now up again for the side of SilentFamily, and this time around, they're going to have to hope they can hold on. For Team Aspire, again, another one of these must-win opportunities, because 4-2 is the bare minimum. If it's a 5-1 half for SilentFamily, it's done. If it's 4-2, at least there's a chance for OP, but even still, even then, it feels like SF are just they're in the right head. They're in that flow state now, right? And I feel like maybe allowing them to get into this mentality is a bit of a fallacy for the side of Team Aspire.
Yeah, well, I had my fears for SilentFamily when they allowed Aspire to win round 3, or around before, and it wasn't just a round win, but it's a really dominant round win. I thought, okay, well, this is where the tides turn. This is where Aspire can really start to run away with things. But instantly responding with that flawless round, it shows that maybe Aspire are kind of running out of juice here quite quickly, as SilentFamily are just consistently winning these rounds, consistently winning them in very strong fashion. Timo getting aggressive onto this window, a bit ill-advised. He doesn't want to cause his team to lose an opening pick here, and he's really the only defender towards this position. There's a lot of utility and rotations around him, as eventually he gets some support from Rogera, so at least he is not the one point of failure for this side anymore, but he's doing quite a good job of just wasting time here. They want to try and pin him down, but they can't seem to do so. Canister gets popped by the attack, but that's still going to stall them a little bit. No one can jump in through that window as of yet, and it's going to give him an out if he wants to leave. Finally a breach for Zello, but Aspire, they're just a bit too scared, it seems, after the horrific events of last round where they were just completely countered. They don't want to push in. Shots missed as well from Zello. That was their one chance. They messed it up.
Yeah, but they're trying to push in here. Still advised. Benz finds the pick. The opener did go the way of Aspire, but now 2 in response. Make it 3 for SilentFamily, establishing themselves, putting their foot down realistically in this game. 4 versus 2. It doesn't get any easier here for Team Aspire, because all the guns are trained on them. All of the attention is trained on them, and they're isolated from each other. Yeah, sure, on the same balcony, but still very opposite entry points. And now that Ragger has found that pick, it's now left up to Scaps to clutch, and run out comes through from Timo, stamping their authority on this game. It's a 5-1 half from SilentFamily. And to be honest, Joe, I feel like the game might be done. Obviously, you know, never say never, but I feel like this game might be done.
And you've got to be asking questions of, well, what if Aspire started on the defense? What if they didn't choose to start attack here? Especially if they string like 4 of these rounds together here, like,
attackers need to locate.
Why would you choose to start on the attack? You're just handicapping yourself here. It's had a far more disastrous impact, I would say, here on Sky than it did on Cafe. So they are going to have a monster of a second half here to justify that. 2 rounds and they're not quite out, but they're down to an elimination match. If SilentFamily win these 2 rounds, any of the next 2 rounds, in fact, then they will progress again. Not quite qualification, but up to a qualification match. So it's not over for either of these teams, no matter the outcome of this 3rd map, but they can potentially get a lot closer to their goals or a lot further away, depending on which side they're on. Aspire's first defensive round here, though, a lot to look out for. I really want to see some good teamwork on display from this team. Individual plays can only get them so far. Cafe was a great example of that. Shimizu and Casper were the only ones really alive, and despite that, they just couldn't quite get it over the edge. So I need to see this team working as, well, a team, because that's not something we've really seen since Consulate.
Yeah, it's not. And again, you mentioned Casper and Shimizu. They're only summing up to 5 kills together inside of 6 rounds, so they themselves are not even performing. That was certainly very, very close, though, from Casper. Timo is very, very lucky there, and I guess, really, the defense, I don't know how close they got. Shimizu tries to go for that swing now. Caught isolated, still finds the fight. Timo, though, trades and immediately hopping in, looking for more, and forcing these defenders away. Somehow things have evened out to a 4 versus 4, Joe.
A great flick from Shimizu there, don't get me wrong, but a trade that early doesn't really benefit the defense too much. Not a lot of time has been wasted. Luckily, they have this shield set up onto drum. They also have the Wowai magnets, they've got the Banshees, and what you'd really want to see here is the Flores, but Glock's been taken down, so that's another thing going in favor of Aspire, but they've got to win these gunfights, and Zello is already very low on health. They can't afford to overpeak things, and Zello's been scared away from that drum position. The one kind of win condition, I would argue, onto this site has been abandoned by the defense Mercs is aware of the potential for a flank too, so Zello could be giving his life away for free here. I'm going to need to see some movement from SilentFamily though, 60 seconds or just over that, and they're still getting bogged down in the midsection of this map.
Yeah, the problem is, though, they are also right knocking on the door of the site. There's a connection, and Zello's still downstairs. The cross as well, caught and isolated. Lovely pick onto Mercs, and Timo is now left alone. A 1 versus 4 to try and find, but hang on a second. He's found the first kill. Zello's still low HP and isolated from the rest of his team. This one is winnable. It's still 30 seconds as well, which is plenty of time, but I don't know. He's going to be aware of this close position. Those free fires will certainly give the game away, and Zello's been caught. It's a triple kill for Timo. He's going to need to ace, or this round is nothing for them, and it will be nothing because Carol is there. The first step on a mighty long journey for Team Aspire to try and win this game. But the positive is, it's not match point.
Yeah, 1 down, 4 more to go, just to give yourself a bit more of a safety net here. 5 required to win it out. So, he said, a long way to go for Aspire here. For SilentFamily, a really nice start, but they just got bogged down in things. You know, they saw that shield, and obviously they can't afford to just keep peeking it because they're probably going to die to that player. But they didn't really have any kind of solution once that Flores was taken out of the equation. So, I need to see some other kind of contingency plans set up for SilentFamily in the event that one of their players gets taken down early, because losing that Flores really dented their momentum there. So, a good start, but they just had a couple crucial central flaws in that composition, in that aim, in that plan, that just derailed the entire round. For Aspire, great recovery. You know, they conceded the body incredibly early, conceded a lot of map control, but they played around what they had. It was a really nice job, particularly looking at Zello for making the really very risky move of going down below, but it paid off massively. So Aspire, they're on that path to redemption, but a long road ahead of them. But only 2 mistakes can be afforded before they lose this 6.
For the spawn peek attempted there by Zello, but as soon as he whipped those shots, Mercs was aware about it. Knew exactly position to aim for. Overstaying, you welcome a little bit there on the bottom floor, but Shimisu's been able to find a response. Ben's going down. That's your Gridlock taken out, an operator that has some very niche uses, but can be quite effective. Unfortunately, not able to use any of the utility right now, and it keeps SilentFamily chasing Ghost a little bit on this bottom floor. It means that for the defense, they can continue to just keep things under control a little bit. They can maybe push a little bit further down because they know that SilentFamily are still trying to locate this player downstairs, and they know that their attention is going to be elsewhere.
Yeah, Carol is looked to be potentially going for a flank instead, just barricading off the other doorway, making sure that if SilentFamily opt for another point of aggression, it's heard, it's registered by the defense. But it looks like SilentFamily just heavily investing on this vertical from below. They've got the Buck and the Ash down there. Reach is finally going off as well, so we might be seeing a bit of a rotate now that that job's done. Mercs right now seems to be the only player on this top floor. They're still so afraid of a flank down these stairs. Shimisi taken down by Timo. But SilentFamily, despite now being in this man advantage, they're still playing very kind of slow, very cautious. They don't want to get caught out here, but I feel like once these drones come through, once they realize that all these 3 defenders are up here, they're going to be a lot more fast. They've already got that Brava hack onto the bulletproof cam as well. That should be giving them more intel on where these defenders are, because once they realize all 3 are above, they need to be acting fast. Less than a minute remaining now, and execute needs to be formulated.
Yeah, there's barely any control realistically for the side of SilentFamily. Player flashes himself, but they're pushing in, and just like that, it's a chain reaction. The dominoes fall, and SilentFamily have their 6th round, just 1 away from taking this series.
It was just a pre-fire onto the bar, and he somehow gets his head there. Fantastic from Mercs. Great play as well, just realizing the urgency of that situation, and despite being splashed himself, realizing the defender is probably going to be backed away into the corner because of it, just going for the swing, going for the pre-fire, and getting the pick. Really nice play from him. Aspire, as he said, facing down match point now. They've had a couple good showings in this map, but crucially, it's only a couple. It's only 2. 4 in a row are needed here. They're going to be going towards this office site once again. It was looking pretty decent to start with, but it was mainly down to some really lackluster drone work from SilentFamily, and you can't rely on that, really. Plus, there was the other kind of factor of them losing a body incredibly early thanks to a swarm peak drastically overstaying their welcome. So a couple key mistakes from both sides to be learned from. The question is, how much is Aspire really learned from that? Are they still going to be playing aggro, or are they going to be super, super passive here? Because there is a lot riding on these next 4 rounds.
Everything in the balance. But again, for SilentFamily, all they need to do is realistically just repeat that previous round, and this series is in the bag for them. That started off so poorly, now ending in the same dominance they found themselves on the receiving end of at the very start of this match. 6-2 the score. And Aspire, they are reattempting this exhibition trophy site. It's a risky one, but realistically, where else do you go? Tea Room Karaoke locked off. But now the Gridlock this time able to use these track stingers, not getting caught out. But Shimizu finds the opening pick, and it's exactly the same kill. Not quite the same outcome. This time, it is a trade to come on out. Rodra answering back, but Casper finds another 4 versus 3.
Those same 2 players, they really fire up when the team needs it most.
Oh, yeah.
Casper's still alive as well, so potential for more impact on this round. Shame Shimizu couldn't get out of there, though. It would have been such a wonderful untraded opener, but still takes down the player of Mercs, I believe, the hard breach. So that's great. Either way, Mercs is definitely dead. I don't want to give credit because I'm not quite sure, but either way, a hard breach dead is a good start for this round. Under bans, so still the Gridlock, that's nades taken out. Really nice job. Aspire though, they've still got to deal with this execute, and we saw once SilentFamily had the intel on where those defenders were, the pace drastically increased. So they need to be ready for some quick gunfights here once SilentFamily finish with their setups. Regular breaks that hatch, sends in a drone to try and get a bit more intel, but Glock's found 1. That's an even man count camera, and it's all repeating once again. Can Aspire learn from those previous mistakes? Can they fend off this assault? Can they win from a man advantage? Or are they going to throw it at the final hurdle?
Yeah, it would be the exact same sort of thing that happened. Celo's now been spotted. The very difficult position here, just behind the singular reinforcement. Relying on Scaps to keep the backside safe from danger. The Banshee gives away the position, but Glock gets the kill. And just like that, again, everything collapses on the site. And SilentFamily shut down MG Aspire like it was nothing. What a game we just had here, Joe. But again, questions do have to be asked about the decisions on Cafe and on Skyscraper to start on the attack.
Yeah, it seemed like more than anything, it was a strategic flaw from MG Aspire, and not even a kind of in-the-round strategic flaw. It was their overall plan for the series was just heavily flawed, because if they start on defense, map 2 could be a 2-0. If they start defense, map 3 could still be a 2-1. But they chose to start those really defender-favored maps on the attack, and whereas in the case of Cafe, they did pull together with those 2 rounds at the end of the half. It was just too little too late. As for Sky, there wasn't even a chance, really. A 5-1 half they were facing down, and because of that, just no real room for error. Just terribly unlucky, because there was some really nice plays in the moment, and particularly that first map. We saw Aspire with some really great teamwork, but they almost set themselves up for failure heading into the following 2 maps.
Yeah, they absolutely didn't. And the thing that gets me as well is after your game on Cafe, then going, oh, we're now being given the opportunity to pick our starting side on Skyscraper, being the team with the best round difference. And they do it again. I'd understand. I'd be less annoyed about it if it was they made both of those decisions before the series.
Yeah.
Right? But as it stands, they had the experience of Cafe, yeah, sure, it got close to 7-5, but where did they find most of their success? On the
On the
defense.
defense.
And then they choose
Yeah.
to start in the attack again. Again, it's very much help yourselves out. You know what I mean? Like, give yourselves the opportunity
Yeah.
to try and fight back. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. And yeah, MG Aspire, they kind of shot themselves in the foot there. Let's not take that away from SilentFamily, though, because they still did very well, especially to get yourself back into a series. That with the way that they lost Consulate as well, we were worried. We're like, potentially this is just booming for them. But it worked out. It worked out in the end. You know, they get that 2-1. They find themselves in the upper bracket, trying to face up against teams such as Crown Zero, such as Minions, such as MG Wit, such as MVG, such as PBX as well. It's going to be difficult for those promotion spots, but you're giving yourselves a chance, and you give yourself that extra life. For MG Aspire, there are no more second chances. They have to win their next game. They have to win the game after that. Otherwise, they're eliminated.
Yeah, as you point out, you know, neither team sort of locked in to either be going through or going home, but for the side of SilentFamily, they're way closer. There's a lot less on their shoulders now because they can still afford a series loss after this because of the effort they put in. And a really great showing for them as well, right? They played from behind in a considerable amount of those rounds. They played from behind for a lot of the series as well, but they still came out on top. Really good job from that team. Commiserations to Aspire because they also looked pretty strong if they just kind of don't overthink it, I guess. You know, if they just sort of follow the trends, make the realization that defense is good, and just follow that mindset, they should be setting themselves up for success because they looked really strong in some of those rounds. And Consulate was phenomenal from them.
Yeah.
It's just sad they kind of handicapped themselves going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know, if we see the Aspire that we saw on Consulate in those future games, like there's almost no winning against that. But unfortunately, that isn't what we saw, and you can see there that the teams that they're with. As for Aspire, they now sit in the camp of Entropy. They now Team Master. Yuck 141. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. But then also the winners of those lower games, you know, Team Asgard versus Penta Club, Yuck 78 versus E-Wave as well. You're in that sort of mixture to try and keep yourselves alive in the tournament. That's so much more deadly and so much more terrifying than if they had won this series. So that's why we said these mid-bracket matches in round 3 are honestly pretty important, and some of the more important that we actually have.
Yeah, another important matchup we can see there coming at you tomorrow: Asgard versus Penta Club, and that is going to be one of these elimination matches.
Yeah,
that is going to be a match where one of the teams sadly comes to an end in their journey for ESA Cup Season 9. So one you're definitely going to want to tune into. Penta Club, particularly, a very well-known name throughout the console scene. It's a different team, but the org coming back to try and get some of that glory. They were once a very, very formidable German team. Now seeing if they can really reach those same heights. And so far, you know, you could argue maybe not the best start if they're in an elimination match already, but there's still potential for the comeback. 0-2 is not 0-3 as of yet, so 3 wins is all they really need to qualify. So definitely a very important matchup to tune into tomorrow.
Yeah, it absolutely is. That's all for tomorrow, and we're done for today. Thank you all very much for watching. I've been Pastor, joined, of course, on the mic by Pooball, as always. We've had Proxima on the sticks. We've had Voight on the production as well. Obviously, going to thank you again, the viewers. Thank you to the players as well for giving us an incredible series. We'll